it's real difficult to articulate what's going on in the gaming industry because you have the people who know, right? You know, the people who, you know, if they know, they know, and if they don't know, you can get them to know by just showing them, a couple tweets, a couple videos about how like game developers are like people who represent game companies act towards their consumer base. Then you have people who don't know, but because they agree ideologically, they're effectively conditioned into just thinking, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're wrong, something wrong with you, or who cares? Well, and I'm like, well, I care, right? Because I play games, it's my hobby, and I take pride in, about my hobbies. My time is valuable because I have to work for a fucking living, right? And what little time I have, I can sit my ass down and play fucking Nikkei Gods of Victory, and or play Stellar Blade, and these odd game journalists, these odd game devs, will then attack me, not because I'm not playing their games or shitting on their games. It's just because I'm playing a game like Stellar Blade, a completely different game that's actually breaking sales on Steam. So they'll judge your character based off the games and the products you consume. And there's just something seated deep within everyone, or you interact when these people come across your table. They come to you and shit on your friends, shit on your family, for playing specific games and interacting with specific like types of media that they don't like. Like you have to, it will build up spite within you, and with this spite, you have people praising the downfall of multi-billion-dollar Western companies like Bungie. You have people going just not buying products, and they could be good games, but you built up this spot where people are like, well, I want to support the people that hate me. So, I never watched this guy. The most hated game dev. Before I even start, and because I guess they're spoiled down here, I knew the minute someone sent this to me, I'm like, they're talking about Neil Druckmann. Because Neil Druckmann is trying to be that fucking messiah. That person that sticks it to this fictional group of people that's in his head. And he didn't make anything. Like everything Neil Druckmann has, he's inherited from an objectively better like game developer, which is Amy Henning, who effectively created. You'll know the game she created, right? Like Soul Calibur, and those are games that were part of your childhood. Like Neil Druckmann was known for a single controversial game. And once that game got popular, now every single game, like AAA company, is trying to, uh, effectively trying to be that game. Like you have that game where there's always a little bit of crafting, the over the shoulder third person combat. Sometimes it's a survival, but other times it's just a bad open world. It has gear score, it has a bit of a perk tree system. The perks give dick all just tiny little percentages. There's also a level system. Like every single AAA game is trying to be this. Oh, and it looks good. The game looks beautiful, but they spend so much time in making the game look good that they forget to actually make a fucking game. So let's give us a watch.
The year's 2025 and the game.
Real fast. Let me do that. I don't know if he has ads, but we'll see.
Gaming world is at war. On one side, the general public, who doesn't get what the big deal is.
If there truly are people that are dropping off of the show, they're cowards.
They didn't like strong women. They don't like a lesbian.
And on the other side, gamers.
Well, the attacks on...
Yeah, a friend of me told me that Jacksepticeye kind of went off the deep end, and I'm like, well, I don't watch him for his shitty political opinions. I just watch his gameplay. But I understand why when he says that stupid shit, people will drop off. And because I'm the epitome of professionalism, I have a bowl of Frosted Flakes, and I'm going to eat this while commentating on this video. Intergalactic the Heretic Property Actors Monster Gamers with pro DEI fan art. You mad, bro? Yeah, exactly. Like they're setting themselves as like this moral arbiter, but that's not why you're here.
Gamers are just beginning.
The wokest episode in television history.
At the center stands Neil Druckmann.
And all I'll say is at the end of the day, you're way less important. And some of you are not important at all. It's laughable. We send it to each other as jokes some of the time.
The beta male, the male feminist.
A once universally respected visionary. Now, the most divisive figure in gaming.
When the fuck has he ever been a visionary? Like, again, he's inherited everything. He didn't create Naughty Dog. He inherited a controversy, he inherited the game, did everything in his power to subvert the players. The people got mad at him, which I guess gave him clicks, gave him fame, but for the wrong reason. Now he's doing it again with Intergalactic, which I know is just going to flop.
It's hilarious. I saw this on Reddit.
I'm gonna kill your kid in front of you. How vile.
Turning a game studio known for only making classics into one that only makes remasters and news headlines.
This to me does feel actually disrespectful, and I mean that legitimately.
And to think that it all started with an idea he had in college. It's 2004, and Neil needs to pitch a zombie game to the father of zombie movies, George Romero.
We had a school project where we had to pitch game ideas to George Romero.
So the idea was for this kind of the story.
His idea is about a cop protecting a young girl. In the game, the player switches between the two characters to force empathy.
I pitched it to George, and he hated it. So I just sat on it.
After getting a job as a programmer at the game studio Naughty Dog, he continues to work on these ideas in the background. Until Naughty Dog promotes Neil, along with Uncharted 2 director Bruce Straley, to direct a new project.
Our task was to reboot Jak and Daxter.
We started to realize that it was not going to do justice to the franchise that the fans had fallen in love with. It would be shifting it so far in a new direction.
I'm like, well, I have this thing I've been working on. What if we try to do this?
Eventually, this turns into a game based on his zombie idea. The old cop becomes a smuggler named Joel, who's tasked with escorting a girl that's immune to the virus named Ellie across the country to people that are working on a cure. Some of Neil's other pitches include Joel being a hardened criminal seeking redemption, a virus that only infects women.
And you found the one girl that it didn't infect, and that was Ellie. And the reason it failed is because it was a misogynistic idea.
Got him.
A revenge plot where Joel's old partner Tess hunts him across the country, and a climactic scene where Ellie comes in and saves Joel from being murdered by Tess. The game's director, Bruce Straley, rejects the revenge elements. Quote, revenge just wasn't a strong enough motivation for someone to travel all the way across an apocalyptic country for an entire year. At the time, Neil agreed.
Oh yeah, and doesn't that like become a callback to The Last of Us 2? I mean, I kind of agree. It's like you're in a post-apocalyptic world, everything's shitty, but you just have to get a revenge. Like that, just like maybe if it's a group of people in specific against another group of people, and they're isolated by the zombies and by vast nothingness, right? But that's why you lose narrative ideas when you try to just throw it on a singular character, right? Because you know that in that world, I mean, you need to have risk. So you need to have situations where, you know, okay, they're like the character's not a superhero, right? They can't just punch the zombies to death like apparently Abby could, you know, or punch people. How do I say this? The problem with most games nowadays in AAA scene is that, again, just the lack of risk. It's like, you know which characters are going to survive. Hell, you almost know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy because they're trying to be more story driven, and they're trying to be more story driven so they don't have to put in time and effort on, like, you know, anything else like combat, you know, actually making people think about certain topics or certain ideas. This is why I didn't much care for Spider-Man 2, and it did sell, but a lot of that game was just mundane shit that I didn't care for. I mean, I didn't play it, but I watched it, and I couldn't finish watching through it because it's like, this isn't like, why do I care to play a game through the eyes of a blonde, I'm about to say a blonde girl, that would have been fucked, a deaf girl, and them just shutting off all audio. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Except Sweet Baby trying to hand fist diversity into the game. Like,
I'm pretty dark. I wanted to kill Elena in Uncharted 2. Bruce is the one that would balance me and push for more levity. The partnership works. It's a delicate tug of war, but the end result is lightning in a bottle.
People are constantly critiquing each other, and that's the culture we try to cultivate here at Naughty Dog, because it helps make the game better, even if sometimes it can be frustrating and hurt your ego, but at the end of the day, it's all about the game.
The game launches in June 2013, and both critics and players are floored.
Making this the 4th game ever to earn my highest rating.
The gameplay is pretty similar to their Uncharted games.
It's like a movie. Actually, my involvement is nothing.
But the story is universally praised as a step forward for video games.
Sarah's dead.
Don't do this, baby.
The zombie win.
By the end of the game, players are empathizing so hard, to the point of it almost feeling traumatic.
Could you put your life on the line for me? Could you be the last of us?
And the ambiguous ending sparks countless debates online.
And so we don't want to come out and say, this is what we intend, or this is definitely the answer, because it is open.
Suddenly, Neil gets universally praised as a storytelling genius.
It sticks in your mind even deeper on one level than a great work of literature or a cinematic masterpiece to some extent.
But their success comes with consequences. In 2014, right in the middle of production on Uncharted 4, Amy Hennig, one of the key creative forces behind Uncharted, leaves Naughty Dog under controversial circumstances.
It was very upsetting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, right? Because you sign NDAs as a game dev. We don't really know why she got booted out, but from what I was told, it had something to do with the DLC for either the first Last of Us or the second one, between a lesbian relationship between two underage girls that maybe she had a problem with. Who knows? I mean, it was around that time she got kicked anyway. But yeah, and Amy Hennig, like, she co-produced some of the best games in the past, like critically acclaimed games, like Uncharted. And she just gets the boot for some fucking reason. And that's kind of, like, when I heard that happen, I almost knew that, okay, maybe The Last of Us 2 isn't going to be as good, or any other Uncharted after. Because, I mean, in any type of environment like game development, like, having balancing forces is fine. I mean, I watched quite a few videos from the original creator of Fallout. He talked about, yeah, you know, we'd have disagreements, and hell, half the time we'd even be shouting with each other. But I mean, Fallout 1 is still one of the best Fallouts ever. I mean, Fallout 2 was fine. 3, yeah, I have my concessions, but I mean, I enjoyed it when I played it the first time. 4, I mean, I don't know if he's even on that team when 4 came out, but again, I'm not going to convince myself. I hated a game I was fine with. Anything after that, I don't really care for. But when she got booted, I was like, okay, maybe this might be the turning point for the company. But that was just a thought in my head that I didn't really say out loud at the time.
Amy had been replaced. I don't know whether this is public knowledge or not, but that was not her choice. It was the company's choice.
At the same time, Neil gets promoted to fill Amy's spot and reworks everything.
Is it tough for you to go into the set and work with Neil Druckmann, or
you just have to be professional and try and leave your opinions and resentments outside? Yeah.
The development crunch is so brutal that nearly 70% of designers quit after shipping due to creative burnout.
Oh yeah, like I've heard Naughty Dog had like a worse turnover rate in the company than like retail stores. And in retail, like, okay, it makes sense why the turnover rate's so high. Like, you work the job for a little bit, you know, maybe over a summer, or you work it for a little bit, then you move somewhere else, maybe get a better job. But to have a game company like this, like, have a worse turnover rate than retail was really something. And I think that marked the landscape of gaming, because the turnover rate was just people that's worked there longer, you know, people that have, you know, experience in the company that were let off. And they probably hired people that just, you know, say, oh yeah, sure, like yes men, people that would green light everything, people that just treated it like any other job.
Among them, Bruce Straley, Neil's creative partner and filter for his darker impulses, is gone. As Neil rises in the ranks, he grows more comfortable with confrontation. After getting some backlash for including LGBT content in The Last of Us DLC, he takes to Twitter. For each one of these bigoted and sad posts, I get thousands of positive ones from amazing fans. Some might say arguing on the internet is unprofessional, and it could leave you vulnerable to having your personal information stolen. That's why you should be using Surfshark, the sponsor of this video. It keeps your online data safe and private by encrypting your internet activity. Whether you're at home or using public Wi-Fi, Surfshark prevents your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. It also allows you to bypass geo restrictions and censorship, so that you can access movies, TV, and websites that might normally be blocked in your country. You'd be surprised at just how many movies you're missing out on. Unlike other VPNs, Surfshark allows you to protect an unlimited number of devices with a single subscription, meaning you can protect your phones, computer, tablet, and even smart TV, all simultaneously. Surfshark also has a bunch of other helpful tools, like Surfshark Alert, which notifies you immediately if your email, passwords, or credit card information ever appear in a data breach, so you can sleep peacefully. Visit surfshark.com/SirW or enter promo code SirW for 4 months free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out today. By doing so, you're also helping me make more videos. While arguing with fans might take a toll on Neil, it doesn't affect his standing at Naughty Dog. In fact, in 2017, he's promoted to vice president of the company. Now he has full creative control and a fresh team of developers. It's time to get honest.
The writer's responsibility. You have no social responsibilities in your writing. The only thing you have a responsibility is to tell the truth.
Just in time to start working on their next big project, The Last of Us, Part 2. The whole world applauds. However, some fans remain skeptical. Did they even need to make a second game? Wasn't the ambiguous ending part of the point?
And so we don't want to come out and say it's, oh, this is what we...
Yeah, and this is what I was thinking, right? It's like, okay, you know, some things can be ambiguous and be fine. And this was at the point where a lot of, like, sequels were coming out. And I was like, well, the problem with trying to explain everything is you just lose the mysticism. Like, you lose something when, oh, well, we need to make a sequel to this, explaining this, because we can't have it open-ended. Or we need to continue this story. Yeah, that was around the time where, again, a lot of fucking sequels a thing. And not just sequels, like sequels that don't really add up to anything like this objectively worse than previous products. So yeah, even I was skeptical.
Nintendo, this is definitely the answer because it is open. I know there's a lot of people that feel this trepidation about revisiting what that ending means. No one loves these characters more than we do, and we would not do this if we didn't feel like we had the right idea.
Right off the bat, it's clear this is a Neil game. All of Neil's rejected ideas for the first game are back. The revenge plot, the switching between characters mechanic, and his idea to kill a main character from Uncharted 2. The extreme crunch is also back.
Where are we on getting physics on these strands?
We are working on it.
So for next time? For next time?
Yes, yes.
They released a story trailer and gameplay demo, and the hype train is now at full speed. The visuals are stunning. Every square inch of the world is drenched in detail.
Yeah, and I said this before and I'll say it again. These games, they look like The Last of Us Part 2 looked good. Like, even if you escape, like, could you even skip the cutscene where Abby brains Joel? Could you? But again, if all you really cared about was the combat and the way it looked, and, you know, anything else but the story, I mean, I can see why people like the game.
Dude, they did the lips so well. Yeah, that actually looks really good. Wow. Yeah, how's some tongue going in there? That's actually, seriously, that's really, really good attention to detail. And
Weren't those underage characters? What the fuck? Again, my thing is with The Last of Us, and Neil Druckmann said this when he added the gay old men in the TV series. He's like, oh, I know people wouldn't like it, but it's like sneaking the carrot inside the cake. It's like, why are you treating me like a child? Like, based off that alone, I didn't care to watch it because I don't like supporting people that treat me like a child. Like, you ain't getting my watch time, you ain't getting my money. And it's not the fact that they're gay fucking old men kissing. This is a post-apocalyptic world. But then it's like, oh, out in Bumfuckistan next to Courage the Cowardly Dog. Apparently it's fine and it's two gay old men chilling out. Why do I care about that? Like, I want to see what they did in The Last of Us 1.
Oh god.
Nevertheless, even with just breadcrumbs, the online debates are already heating up.
There started to be these rumors about the game, false narratives that the game has homophobic Christians and that's who you fight. And then there's like a series of like YouTubers and websites that just run with this stuff.
Neil knows the creative choices aren't going to please everybody, but as long as no one inside spoils anything, he thinks the backlash will be manageable.
And I was able to dismiss it, and then the leaks happened. And then all of a sudden it's like a flood.
With only a couple months until the game's release, someone leaks the biggest spoiler in the game, Joel's death scene in full. Plus the fact that you play as his killer for around half of the game. The YouTube video gets taken down at around 1,000 views, but that's enough. Neil braces for impact.
Just want to say on behalf of everyone at Naughty Dog, a lot of you have sent us very sweet, encouraging messages along that time that have been really helpful. We make this thing.
And that was the lowest point in my life.
If the leaks are true, this game can kiss my ass.
The destruction of...
Yeah, and again, because he wanted to pull the wool over your eyes, he wanted to get your money, then he placed it at a point where you couldn't refund the game, because this is a narrative-driven game, and if people hate the way the narrative's going, they have a right to refund, and like they don't have to explain why. Like they could be like, I don't want to play this anymore. But if you place that scene more than 2 hours in, so you couldn't refund the game on Steam. Then again, it's this idea of pulling the wool over people's eyes and being like, oh hey, yeah, guess what? We kill a character that you've built up your relationship with. Yeah, I mean, like, will that personally have pissed me off? I mean, yeah. I still would have continued the game, but he did it specifically to spite the consumer, to spite people that enjoyed the first Last of Us.
Of several characters that people are very attached to.
And like those voices jumped on Joel dying and the fact that you played Joel's killer. And then the fact that they said that like Joel's killer is transgender.
If you think that game could be spoiled by a couple screenshots, really?
No matter what you've seen or heard.
Oh yeah, and then there was the interesting sex scene between Abby and this other dude that, I mean, if I would have went down on my girlfriend in college the way they did, I would have hurt that girl. It's like absolutely no foreplay, nothing, just full raw butt fucking, like hard and raw. And apparently her boyfriend, Abby's boyfriend, was a Neil Druckmann stand-in. This is why people don't like this theater kid level of storytelling, because they can't help but to put themselves in the game. It's very narcissistic, and if you see it once, you start to think every game with this aesthetic, you know, the making women ugly, you know, the making the game look good but not actually making a game, like Velgar, like, you start to suspect it everywhere, and it makes you care for the games even less.
After you hear them, you're not going to want to pick up this game.
Or Red, nothing compares to playing this thing from beginning to end.
Joke throughout production would say is like the downfall of Naughty Dog.
This is it.
This is the downfall. This game is the downfall of Naughty Dog.
What?
The game releases in June 2020, and within hours of the game's release, hundreds of negative reviews start flooding the game's page.
Naughty Dog just went full The Last Jedi on this one.
Considering the game is supposed to be 20 to 30 hours long, the number of negative reviews raises some eyebrows. In response, some people even publish research articles dedicated to proving it's a coordinated attack. Sony starts allegedly taking down hundreds of reviews,
attacking gamers again, which, who's surprised? It's kind of funny that they'll delete the negative ones, right? But they won't delete the positive.
Yep.
This guy's really salty that the game didn't go.
Yeah, and everyone knows that, you know, Naughty Dog and with extension Sony work hand in hand with like YouTube, you know, platforms that claim the defense of platforms but act like publishers, where, you know, they work hand in hand with the companies to get content off their platform. Yeah, everyone knows it's something that happens. But it was around this time where it was just so blatant and obvious it's happening that after this, they even just stopped trying to, you know, pull the wool over your eyes. They stopped, like, you know, hiding it. And they're just like, yeah, this is blatantly something we're doing.
The way he wanted.
Metacritic also implements a 72-hour waiting period for future reviews. Attacks are coming at Neil from all sides, but rather than letting it pass over, Neil goes full offense.
And all I'll say is at the end of the day, to all our critics, we listen to that stuff and we digest a lot of it, but you're way less important. And some of you are not important at all when you're kind of shout and threaten and doing all that stuff. It's laughable. We send it to each other as jokes some of the time.
Look, I get it.
It's like, what the hell? What are we, children? Like, is that really how you act towards criticism? You act like a bumbling fucking idiot? Like, that's not professional. You know, people get death threats all the fucking time if they're public figures or like, you know, politicians. You brush that shit off if it's not credible. You laugh it off. You guffaw. Then you fuck off to making that bag. You don't do this. This isn't professional. And even if the threats are legitimately coming in, again, once you start acting this way towards your consumer and treating every, even valid criticism as if they're threats, you enter this situation.
Love these fictional characters, but they're not real. You do know that, right? Guys, don't be scared of therapy. Think of it like working out for your brain.
Yeah, but again, do you want people to care for these franchises, for this IP, or do you not? Because if you don't want people, what the fuck is this? If you don't want people to care, then you shouldn't be mad if they don't buy it, right?
But soon, bad reviews aren't the only thing on Neil's plate. Some of the more observant fans notice lies in the marketing, mainly that Joel is added in post to make it look like he's a bigger part of the game. They also make him look different.
I don't know why they would do that. Just have scenes in the trailer with Joel in them. That's not hard to do. They went out of their way to cut clips to make it look like Joel is involved in the scene.
Fans call it false advertising, but Neil says he just didn't want to spoil the surprise.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Well, then you shouldn't have had anything, right? You should have kept it all under wraps. The reason you pay for publishers, the reason you pay for, you know, advertisement is to farm hype. And you tried to do it, but in an unprofessional and sleazy way.
2 is one of my favorite games. And I know some people hated it. I loved when I played Metal Gear Solid 2 and I saw those trailers. You were deceived, right? Because they moved boss battles around. You always saw Snake. They never showed you Raiden. And I remember like I'm playing a whole new character. This is fucking awesome.
However, fans bring up an IGN article from 2018 that quotes Neil as saying Ellie will be the only playable character, to make the situation worse. As the Game Awards approach, when The Last of Us Part 2 is nominated for Game of the Year, Neil tweets, "The Last of Us fans, activate. For every vote you cast for The Last of Us Part 2, a hater loses their caps lock."
This wasn't a good tweet. First of all, it's a very passive-aggressive tweet, particularly with his emoji at the end.
He apologized.
Yeah. And everyone's shitting on this guy for some reason. He's 100% right on everything. Like, this is that theater kid mentality that when people that have to work for a living sees it, they automatically hate it. Right? They're like, okay, well, I'm gonna vote against this person. You know, I'm gonna pray for this person's downfall. And this is coming from me. I am the biggest op against Ubisoft. My hate for Ubisoft is generational. My fucking kids, I'm gonna put that shit in my will. So my kids will be hating Ubisoft. 1, because they're fucking French, and that should be illegal. But 2, because they will call the police on their paying customers for hate speech. Now, okay, it's in the UK. The UK has different laws and rules, but they're a French fucking company. But they're working in hand with the government against their people. Like, I am an Olympic hater of Ubisoft. And it's because of shit like this, right? It's because, you know, again, no one expects a company to have morals, right? You know, have good morals or be a moral pillar, but to have, like, displaced, what's the word I'm looking for? Displaced morals? Like, to have, like, but for a company to work in tandem with another, like the government or across other companies, to just go against people like that, that's a step above.
Well, it's a very passive-aggressive tweet, particularly with his emoji at the end.
He apologizes, saying it was all a misunderstanding. He doesn't want to come across as someone who dislikes criticism.
My tweet was meant as a joke, RE trolls. Essentially, we're living in his head rent-free.
But none of his former fans buy it. Multiple YouTubers report receiving strikes from Neil over videos critical of the game or the leaks.
Not only did Naughty Dog strike down my YouTube channel along with so many others, they also are responsible for my Twitter account being taken down.
Come September 2022, Neil's ongoing battle with fans hasn't died down, and Naughty Dog hasn't announced any new games. Fans are getting impatient, but it gets worse. In 2022, they announced a $70 remake of The Last of Us Part 1. $70? For a remake of a $20 game that's already been remastered. Well, at least it's
Yeah, a remake of a game that was originally $60 fucking dollars. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that now that Naughty Dog's doing this, so many other fucking companies are doing this, which is why I, off principle, hate remakes. I mean, at this point, it could be from a game I legitimately like. Well, if it's one of the top 5 games on my list, maybe. But just off principle, I'm not playing remakes. Just for me. Not that they're bad. Like, I get the Oblivion remakes fine. You know, I knew it would sell. I'm just not going to be the one to buy it.
coming to PC. Hopefully the port is okay.
Darling.
Oh boy. Players booted up, and it's, well, after over an hour of waiting for it to build shaders, frame rate issues on the most high-end computers, textures not loading properly, and cutscenes where all the characters are wet. How does this one even work?
If you plan on buying The Last of Us 1 remake, you're an idiot.
You don't deserve to call yourself a gamer or ever play video games again. In fact, you don't even deserve to peek at a video game ever again. And quite frankly, I hope your hands cramp up.
After 2 years, this is it. Sales disappoint. Critics call it unnecessary, and the goodwill in Neil's haters all but evaporates.
Druckmann became an egomaniac after The Last of Us, and lost his sense of humility.
Fast forward a year, and things aren't looking much better. In terms of games, just remasters. But Neil feels good. He's been promoted to head of Naughty Dog, and HBO launches The Last of Us TV series. Before it's released, Neil announces major changes to the story, with no input from Bruce Straley as far as anyone knows.
For example, the Bill sequence works very well in the game because you're fighting the infected with Bill. I think if we had adapted that exactly as is for the show, it may be a thrilling episode, but dramatically would have been a lot less interesting than where
Oh yeah, that's the one with the gay old men,
changed it quite a bit.
His ex-fans are primed to hate it, but in the end it's actually pretty good. In fact, HBO says it's one of their most popular shows that year. Neil becomes somewhat of a mainstream celebrity. New fans start pouring in, game sales spike, and he finally feels like he has some people on his side. Until season 2.
Ignored.
It turns out fans of the show who haven't played the games have no idea what's in store.
Kill him with a golf club?
Guys, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to do right now.
I didn't think it was gonna happen this soon.
And after Joel's big moment, public opinion shifts. IGN gives the episode their lowest rating in history.
The result is a competent, often
6
thrilling
out of
hour of
10.
television, but one that ultimately underserves the larger story and the characters it forever changes.
At least Abby in here looks serviceable.
Ship starts to fall off, and the season finale sees a 55% drop from the first season.
You have to expect that some people would just switch off after that, and people have switched off in their droves. But not only that,
in December 2024, fans finally get a brief glimpse of something new. This time Neil has an executive producer role, but that doesn't make it void of controversy.
Bro, I saw that Intergalactic, the heretic prophet, literally had more dislikes than Concord.
Actress for Naughty Dog's upcoming game Intergalactic Heretic Prophet mocked gamers by sharing pro-DEI fan art. These are games that definitely are anti-gamer. These companies hate you. They have
and you see this and you wonder why people are like, okay, so you don't want my money. Okay. I mean, I wasn't going to buy this. Now I'm happy I'm not buying this game.
To be boycotted.
Like, I sleep better knowing that they're not getting my money.
But Neil says not to worry, that this next game is going to deal with a much less controversial subject matter.
Oh, we made a game.
Yeah, but again, they did everything in their power. Like, this is like, the conversation between this girl and like that 60-year-old lady is like a conversation two teenage girls would be having, but because the character design, they made her unattractive and the other one a 60-year-old woman, it just doesn't come off right. It's like, what the fuck is this conversation?
Game is going to deal with a much less controversial subject.
Like, 60-year-old ladies have completely different conversations than like 20-year-old girls, like, or women. Like, if you exist in reality, in the real world, you know this. But that's my nitpick. The other nitpick is they look ugly.
Subject matter.
Oh, we made a game
that's it.
with The Last of Us 2. We made certain creative decisions. That got us a lot of hate. So the joke is like, you know what? Let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion.
Like, I get he's trying to be a visionary, right? Like, Neil Druckmann is trying to be a visionary. Unfortunately, his vision is against the very people that give him fucking money, and that's where the problem is.
Whether it's any good or not, we've yet to see, but it's clear Neil's not taking his foot off the brake anytime soon.
Again, I just don't care to play Intergalactic. I think people are just going to shit on it on principle. Drukmann is that kid who will tell his mom that he or she did all the house chores when all of her siblings were asleep. Oh, God. So basically, none of the games that Neil worked on were good because of him. They were good because Bruce Straley, and Amy Hennig, yes. Yeah. Bruce Straley stopped Neil from making The Last of Us into a laughing stock with his ideas. Don't believe me, literally every terrible idea he had for the first game he put into the second game. Look how that turned out. Yes, I absolutely believe that. So Bruce wasn't just the dark idea filter. He was also the bad idea filter. Yes. And that, I'm pretty sure Amy Hennig was the same way. But they booted her out of the company. Shout out Bruce Straley for making The Last of Us good. I'll never believe that Neil Druckmann was the main writer of The Last of Us story. Bruce Straley and Amy Hennig are the real masterminds at Naughty Dog. And I think this, even if this isn't the case, this is just how everyone sees it, right? And that's how the consumers see it. And it's difficult because people like to be like, oh, you don't know. You're not behind. You're not in the company. You're not looking down the balls of everything that's happening. It's like, well, you're right, but I can look at the products and people's reception of them. And, I can speculate. Bro got mad that George Romero himself hated his idea and got up the rank of a gaming company just to try to prove him wrong. Now everyone hates his ideas. Oh, God. Now, and again, I have absolutely no love for Neil Druckmann either. I mean, he's someone who's inherited everything, didn't have a single good idea, but people hail him as the messiah of gaming for some reason. Why? Because he sticks it to this demographic of people, right? That everyone erects in their head, like, yeah, sure, whatever. Neil Druckmann will be the fall of Naughty Dog, and this is heartbreaking. The franchise I grew up with, ruined by one man's hubris. Yes. I mean, it's unfortunate, but if a company cannot survive this, I mean, you had your heyday. Maybe it just needs to fall, and other companies need to come back and, fill the ranks. Other companies need to, other games need to replace this one. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Peace out.